Season 1, Episode 13, Cartman's mom is a dirty slut. And you know what? I just want to take a minute and say that I finished all of Season 1. That makes me pretty proud of myself, and I will admit that it's taken me pretty much like 2 months to 1 to 2 months to do this, but who cares? I'll just put all that at the end. So, anyways, in this episode, Cartman is missing a lot of school and he's super sad, and it turns out the reason why is because he doesn't have a dad. So, when the other boys see, like, oh, our friend is sad, they like decide to go talk to Mr. Mackey, and Mr. Mackey's like, "Oh yeah, you should videotape him." And they find Eric doing some very interesting things. But throughout this episode, Eric Cartman is trying to figure out who his father is. He starts off by talking to Chief Running Water, then to Chef, then to Mr. Garrison, then to the 1991 Denver Broncos, and then a whole bunch of people. Because, as it turns out, Mrs. Cartman is a slut, and she has slept with everyone in all the men in South Park, really. So yeah, in order for Cartman to get a DNA test offered by Dr. Mephisto, he spends $3,000, and the way he gets this $3,000 is because the other boys throughout this whole time they've been filming Cartman, and they filmed Cartman have an embarrassing tea party with all of his little stuffed animals. But this episode ends in a cliffhanger, and we don't find the identity of Cartman's dad. And that is how Season 1 ended. Some themes in this episode were the absence of a father in a child's life. And I think that the reason why Cartman is the way that he is because his mom is a super pushover. I mean, she lets Cartman do anything and get away with anything. And, you know, it's just... Well, I think there's been a few times where Cartman's mom has fought back. One episode, the episode Tist, which features Caesar Million from The Dog Whisperer. That was one time. The second time I think that she stood up for herself was in the Human Centipede episode where Cartman was trying to get an iPad, but she was just like, no, you're not going to get one. So another theme in this episode is, as I mentioned before, Cartman kind of has he drinks tea with a whole bunch of his stuffed animals, and that's kind of where Cartman gets his self-confidence and his self-assurance and his self-esteem from. I mean, like, he has his animals say, "Oh, Cartman, you're so cool. You're the coolest person ever. We love you so much. You're so popular and cool." But yeah, so that's really interesting to kind of get into Eric's psyche. A couple first in this episode is, we see Haffy. I don't really think Haffy shows up in any other episode, honestly, other than a background character. And then we have his stuffed animals. We have, because, you know, he has the tea party with them. So we get to meet Polly Prissy Pants, Peter Panda, Rumpelstiltskin, and Clyde Frog, who all got viciously murdered in a later episode, which is really sad. And it was kind of funny because, like, as I was watching this episode, he didn't even need to say the names, and I just knew all of the names of all of his stuffed animals. So yeah, I think Clyde Frog is his favorite stuffed animal, quite honestly, because he shows up the most. So a couple interesting things within this episode is that you see there's a part where Grandpa Marsh is watching television, and there is an ad for the movie, well, like a trailer for the movie Not Without My Anus with Terrence and Phillip, which is actually the first episode of Season 2, and it was an April Fool's joke because it aired on April Fool's, and it was the joke of the day. And another interesting thing is that Kenny dies by getting hit by a train in this episode. So yeah, and that's about it. I realized that I was going to try to do every single episode of South Park. Did not happen. It takes me a long time to do anything, and quite honestly, some days I really didn't want to do it, and some days I forgot about it. So I'm not saying that this is the end of my vlog, because I at least wanted to get through Season 1. I'm not saying this is the end. What I am saying is I'm going to go on a hiatus from this, and I'm just going to do this whenever I feel like it. I'm not going to do a set date, but Whatever. So, yeah, I know that's really sad, I guess, because I really wanted to do every single episode, but there are currently 247 episodes plus a movie. That's a lot. And I have no idea what I'm doing. I have zero camera equipment. But if anything, it was just kind of my love of the show. And again, I might do more episodes. I don't really know. Maybe I'll just do my favorites. Maybe I'll just do the upcoming season, season 18. I forgot when that's coming out exactly. But yeah, not like that many people watched this. So that this concludes the end of season 1. I feel like there should be like a balloon behind me, but there's not. So thanks for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.